working to connect a region of over 600 million bridges between our lands.
Hello and welcome to ASEAN in Focus. I'm Judith Gamera, delivering to you the latest news in and around the ASEAN region on today's headlines. Number of families affected by Taal unrest are now over 68,000. 9 people drowned and another was missing after a bridge collapsed on Indonesia's Sumatra Island, the disaster agency said Monday. And President Rodrigo Duterte has signed an executive order modifying import duty rates of certain products in line with the 2017 ASEAN-Hong Kong-China Free Trade Agreement. A total of 68,439 families have so far been affected by the eruption of the Taal volcano. The National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council, or the NDRRMC, said Tuesday. In its 6 a.m. update, the agency said this is equivalent to 271,278 persons residing in Batangas, Cavite, Laguna, and Quezon. The figures are significantly higher than the 53,716 families reported by the agency in its Monday update. Of this number, 38,906 families, or 148,514 individuals, are being sheltered in 497 evacuation centers, while 22,217 families, or 87,141 persons, are being aided outside. The remaining families whose houses are within the 14-kilometer danger zone took shelter with their relatives. The amount of assistance extended by the Department of Social Welfare and Development and Department of Health to the affected families has totaled 18,431,320. Meanwhile, damage to agriculture in Batangas, Cavite, and Laguna was placed at 3,215,788,882. Philippine authorities ordered a crackdown Monday on evacuees' daily visits to their homes and the danger zone around Taal volcano, as scientists warn it could be recharging for a more powerful explosion. Interior Undersecretary Epemaco Densing III made this warning following reports that several tourism establishments, including hotels and restaurants, are now back in business, even as Alert Level 4 remains over the area. Take a look.
If they defy the memorandum, we will again direct the local chief executive to close them down, cancel their mayor's permit and their operating permits. And if they continue to operate even in the absence of those permits, we will send the Philippine National Police to close them down. Hopefully, we can have a dialogue with the businesses and see what kind of assistance we can give together with the Department of Trade and Industry.
Alert Level 4 means that a hazardous explosive eruption is possible within hours to days. Dr. Renato Solidum of FIVOC said continued earthquakes and an increase in the volcano's emission of sulfur dioxide gas were possible indications of a recharge of magma which would drive a major blast. In other news, Malaysia sent back 150 containers of plastic waste to mostly wealthier nations, with the Southeast Asian country saying Monday it would not be the world's garbage dump. Let's listen in.
To date, the government of Malaysia has repatriated 150 containers of illegal plastic waste with approximately 3,737 metric tons. Through our inspection at the port and data from Royal Malaysian Customs Department, most of the containers are exported from developed countries, including France, United Kingdom, United States, Canada, Spain, and Japan. So we have sent 150. There are 110 more that we will send across the 3 different ports in Malaysia. The one that is to be sent back is from the United States. Yeah? We still have 60 out of 110 are from United States. So we will continue to work with the United States government, the relevant local agencies in the United States to make sure that we actually send it back. So
the region has been flooded with plastic from more developed economies such as the United States and Britain since 2018 after China, which previously boasted a massive recycling industry, ordered a halt to most imports. Many Chinese recycling businesses moved to Malaysia after the ban took effect, leading to huge quantities of plastic being shipped in without permits and flooding small communities. The exporting countries and shipping lines covered the cost of returning the containers, and I quote, "We don't want to pay a single cent," the minister said. "People dump their rubbish into your country. We are not supposed to pay them to send it back." Several Southeast Asian countries have sent back unwanted waste in recent months. Indonesia has returned hundreds of containers to their countries of origin, and the Philippines returned a huge shipment of garbage to Canada. Meanwhile, a Myanmar-appointed panel concluded Monday that some soldiers likely committed war crimes against its Rohingya Muslim community, but the military was not guilty of genocide, finding swiftly condemned by rights groups. The Independent Commission of Inquiry, or the ICOE, released the results of its probe just ahead of a ruling Thursday by the UN's top court on whether to impose urgent measures to stop alleged ongoing genocide in Myanmar. It conceded some security personnel had used disproportionate force and committed war crimes and serious human rights violations, including the killing of innocent villagers and destruction of their homes. But the crimes did not constitute a genocide, the panel decided. There is insufficient evidence to argue, much less conclude that the crimes committed were undertaken with the intent to destroy, in whole or in part, a national, ethnical, SIC, racial, or religious group. Military operations from August 2017 forced about 740,000 Rohingya to flee over the border into sprawling camps in Bangladesh. Buddhist-majority Myanmar has always maintained the crackdown by the armed forces, or Tatmadaw, was justified to root out Rohingya insurgents after a series of attacks left a dozen security personnel dead. But refugees carried consistent accounts of widespread murder, rape, torture, and arson with them and have so far largely refused to return for fear of their safety.
Net25 is now available on OSN, the largest entertainment network in the Middle East and North Africa. Watch your favorite Net25 shows on OSN channel 725, same day as the Philippines. Net25 shows live and on demand anytime, anywhere, on any mobile device on OSN Play.
In Good Shape, your weekly health show on DW that covers many aspects of healthcare. We look at what's new in medical treatment, nutrition, fitness, and beauty. We discuss these topics in depth with specialists.
drowned and another was missing after a bridge collapsed on Indonesia's Sumatra Island, the disaster agency said Monday. Some 30 people, mostly students, were on the bridge Sunday afternoon in the town of Kaur when the newly built crossing suddenly collapsed, hurtling some teens into the water below while others clutched onto the railing. The water level in the river below the bridge was higher than the usual, with strong currents after torrential downpours pounded the Bengkulu region at the southern end of Sumatra. Head of the Disaster Mitigation Agency, or Ujang Shafiri, said that some managed to save themselves, but 10 others could not fight against the current and drowned. They were swept away, adding that the bridge may have collapsed due to excessive weight. A search and rescue team scoured a 20-kilometer radius to find a teenager who is still missing, he said. Another victim was rescued after falling into the river, but is seriously injured and has been taken to hospital. Parts of the Southeast Asian archipelago have received torrential downpours as the rainy season kicks into high gear. President Rodrigo Duterte has signed an executive order modifying import duty rates of the certain products in line with the 2017 Association of Southeast Asian, or the ASEAN Hong Kong-China Free Trade Agreement, or AHK-FTA. Duterte signed Executive Order 102 on January 10th, but a copy of the document was released on media on Monday. EO 102 notes that AHK-FTA will strengthen the economic partnerships between the ASEAN member states and Hong Kong, China, serve as an important building block towards regional economic integration, and support sustainable economic development. The commitment under the AHK-FTA to reduce tariffs and eliminate customs duties will enhance trade and investment between the parties to the agreement, the EO read. Under the AHK-FTA, the Philippines, Brunei, Malaysia, and Thailand will eliminate customs duties on 85% of products traded with Hong Kong within 10 years and reduce another 10% of tariff lines within 14 years. This according to a press statement on the ASEAN website. Indonesia and Vietnam will eliminate customs duties for 75% of their products within 10 years and reduce another 10% of tariff lines within 14 years. Cambodia, Laos PDR, and Myanmar will eliminate customs duties for 65% of their products within 15 years and reduce another 20% of tariff lines within 20 years. Hong Kong and Singapore will grant a tariff-free access and will bind their customs duties at zero tariffs upon entry into force of the agreement. The AHK-FTA contains 14 chapters covering broad areas of market access, liberalization, trade facilitation, rules to promote confidence in trade, and cooperation aimed at facilitating trade in goods and services in the region. It is ASEAN's sixth free trade agreement with the external partners after China, Korea, Japan, India, and Australia and New Zealand. The Philippines signed the AHK-FTA on November 12, 2017 at the sidelines of the 31st ASEAN Leaders Summit in Manila. However, the signatures of all ASEAN member states were completed on March 28, 2018 in Naypyidaw, Myanmar. It was ratified by Duterte on January 4, 2019. Other ASEAN members are Brunei, Cambodia, Indonesia, Laos, Malaysia, Myanmar, Singapore, Thailand, and Vietnam. The Taal volcano's eruption has so far had a minimal impact on the economy as the government starts laying down the groundwork for the rehabilitation of the affected areas, a ranking official of the Socio-Economic Planning Agency said on Monday. National Economic and Development Authority, or NEDA Undersecretary for Regional Development, Adoracion Navarro, said they don't see it having a major effect unless there will be a violent eruption. Navarro said that some establishments in Tagaytay City have begun operating again. Based on a preliminary assessment, she estimated the foregone income in economic sectors from the impact of the Taal volcano's eruption at 4.3 billion pesos, or 0.17% of the 2018 Gross Regional Domestic Product, or the GRDP of Calabarzon, or Cavite, Laguna, Batangas, Rizal, and Quezon. And I quote, "That's the scenario considering the effects on industry and services within the 14-kilometer radius," she said. Navarro noted that the estimated income losses in the economic sectors are higher at 6.66 billion pesos, or 0.26% of the last year's GRDP of Calabarzon, taking into the account the effects on industry and services within the 17-kilometer radius. Socioeconomic Planning Secretary and NEDA Director General Ernesto Pernia said the estimated economic foregone income does not include damage to infrastructure and public and private assets. Navarro said they have begun laying down the major components of the rehabilitation plan for the affected areas. He further said that they would adjust their assessment of the economic impact in case of a violent volcanic eruption. Taal Volcano began spewing ash on January 12. Navarro said that as of January 20, some of 393,863 evacuees have been directly affected. But they hope that some of them will really slide back to poverty. It will only be temporary because the government has funds for the rehabilitation and the recovery of these families and also the economic sectors. And that is the latest news in the Southeast Asian nations. Stay updated about the ASEAN region. I'm Judith Yamera and I'm on with 25.
Pangarap mo bang makapagsulat ng